welcome to Backseat Designers, episode whatever the hell. We don't actually count episodes, unlike some of our colleagues.
Speak for yourself, it's episode 9.
Of season 3, which in total is episode whatever the fuck. Anyway,
That's true.
Thanks for that rousing embarrassment. My name is... And I am joined today by my two goodest, bestest friends in the whole wide world. Say hello, Frederick.
That's a lie and you know it, but hello.
And the benevolent Dr. Gareth Millwood.
Hello.
And today we are going to talk about something rousing, something positive. We're going to be spreading cheer amongst the children everywhere.
Hip, hip, hooray!
Where's the ding? Not that kind of cheer.
There isn't a ding, but there's a BBC host over here with a boner. He wants to talk to you.
Savile, pipe down. We'll get to you in a minute. Today we are covering a subject that will undoubtedly spread cheer and good feelings all around, which is, of course, the nasty shit that adventure games should stop doing. Like things that we're really sick of. We should just pack it in, guys. Just walk away. Just stop doing it. We don't care. Stop doing it.
As opposed to every single week where we talk about all the nasty shit that adventure games should stop do. You know what? I'll just shut up.
Yeah.
We do, though. I mean, I think one of the things that we do want to do, though, is to say, okay, we kind of understand why you keep doing this. There are demands on your time. There are limits to what computing can do, what you know, all of those sorts of pressures that come with it.
Yeah, you have a very strict code of ethics to adhere to.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
But that's a reason and not an excuse.
Oh, yeah. And also this is going to be highly subjective because, at least for my sake, I'm going to be covering a topic that I absolutely fucking loathe and yet people keep doing, so there must be a market for it somewhere out there. And I don't know about you guys.
Yeah, just know this, adventure game designers listening to this. You shall find understanding, but you shall certainly not find forgiveness.
That's a good way of putting it.
That's pretty good, yeah. So I think we should just kick off by letting someone other than me have a say. We've each prepared a topic that we want to discuss, something that we feel adventure games need to stop doing to us because we're sick of it. So I don't know, Gareth, why don't you go first?
Yeah, well, I suppose mine's a sort of a subjective one to a certain extent. It's, I don't know, I've played quite a few adventure games where I feel like there are parts of the game that have been added. And this kind of goes to a rant that you two had probably maybe last season or maybe even in the first season about this game gives you 17 hours of gameplay.
Oh, right.
And you get the feeling that somebody has sat down with some testers and they've gone, well, this is a very good game. The plot makes sense. All of the puzzles kind of build on from each other, and we've got some good pacing here. But it only takes about 8 hours to play. So let's add another 8 hours of filler just to make sure that we can eke this thing out for long enough and people will feel like they've got their money's worth. But actually, you don't feel like you've got your money's worth when you've basically been playing half a game. You'd be much better off with a tighter game that doesn't add all that bloat. Just have some faith in your story. And if your story only takes 8 hours to play, well, then that doesn't necessarily make it a bad story or bad game.
Oh, yeah. And this, by the way, is not the rant about what a completely stupid measurement that hours is in terms of gameplay.
No,
we've covered that.
It is very stupid, and I think we covered it in Season 2, partly inspired by something our good friend Richard Cobbett wrote on the subject once.
So this is not that discussion. This discussion is about bloated filler puzzles or content, stuff that doesn't need to be there, stuff that you could trim away. And you know, for my sake, the opposite end of that spectrum is, the good old walking simulators that we covered on the first episode of the season, which typically take like, I don't know, an hour and a half, 2 hours, 2.5 hours, maybe 4 hours if you're really slow and playing them like I do. But, people can get through them at a reasonable pace and actually at a pace where they can just, shove it off to Steam for a refund.
Yeah.
So the opposite end of that spectrum is, of course, what Gareth is bringing up about. Okay, well, this game is too short. We should add more stuff.
Well, you define you define your own experience with the walking simulator in a way that's kind of dissimilar to how you would go about a regular adventure game. You know, the walking simulator allows you to brisk through it, or it gives you, as I discovered when we did Gone Home on BSD Plays, as far as I remember, because I was fucking blitzed. But as far as I remember.
By the end of it, anyway.
Yeah, what I discovered was how much stuff is hiding in the corners. And I thought I was thorough when I played it myself, for the first time. But you showed me so much shit that I had no idea was part of the experience. But it really enriches it, and I wouldn't be without that. So,
well, yeah, I mean, having side quests or places that you can go into to explore more if you want to, or possibly little things that when you play the game again you might want to do to, I don't know, get all the achievements or things like that. I've not necessarily got a problem with that second one, even though that's probably not for me. But I don't know. I mean, for example, and I don't want to keep ripping on this game, but it is one of the more recent ones I've played, so it's in my memory, and I'm sorry, but. Tesla Effect, for example. I mean, the first half of Tesla Effect, maybe even 2/3, is quite tight. You feel like there's a story progressing and everything, but you get beyond that point and you get the feeling that perhaps that last third of the game is in there to keep the story going on. It feels like certain chapters of that could perhaps be taken out. Certain days, in fact, could perhaps be taken out.
I agree,
to make the story tighter.
There's a great sense of urgency in like the first 4 days of Tesla Effect. You wake up as Tex Murphy. He's been gun. In real life, of course, he's been gone for more than a fucking decade. But in the game, he's just woken up to find out that shit. I barely know who I am. Where am I? What am I? What have I done? And there is a great sense of progression there, but then he stumbles upon this castle and it just kind of turns into this meandering thing where he's just, moseying along solving logic puzzles.
And I don't want to rip on the game completely, and I can actually in that case I can kind of understand why. I mean, there's plenty of sort of side places that you can go into and explore. You've got all those sort of objects on the floor in Chandler Avenue that you can look at and give you sort of backstory and all that kind of stuff. And I can understand why certain bits were the way they were. I mean, maybe they would have also become more fleshed out if there wasn't a budget restriction because it was self-funded through Kickstarter. Maybe it would have been better, better's completely the wrong word, I don't mean that. Maybe it would have been richer in terms of some of the stuff that was in there if they'd been a fully fledged studio with permanent staff making other games so that they could outsource certain things within the company, all of those kind of things.
I was about to ask you that, because don't you think that a lot of the padding has to do with the fact that, I don't mean to rag on Tesla Effect either, because I really, really love it. But with that said, it's a piece of fan service, and there is no denying that. And I just kind of think, one character that you could have cut out without losing a whole lot was Big Jim Slade. And Big Jim Slade was a fucking badass character in Overseer. I love that guy, but he doesn't have a whole lot to do in Tesla Effect. He shows up and he dies.
Okay,
he's barely a threat. And I just kind of wonder if they, went, well, we got to pull out all the stops. We got to have Rook. We got to have Chelsea. We got to have Big Jim Slade. We got to have the logic puzzles. We got to have all these things that define Tex Murphy, because this is a Kickstarter game and we're partly catering to people's nostalgia. And I'll get back to the subject of nostalgia eventually.
I actually think that you're half right. I mean, some of it is fan service, and some of it is you could sit down with Tesla Effect and have a really good time and not know who the fuck Tex Murphy is. What I think Gareth was getting at, and if he wasn't, then I'm certainly going to go at it, is that when you have padding in a game, it's usually in the form of now you're getting locked off by the game in some situation where you can't escape until you've solved X number of puzzles. The infamous Day 5 in Tesla Effect, for instance.
That's one, if I may interject briefly, that's one very specific form of padding. You know, I think Big Jim Slade, in his own way, is an example of padding as well. But I do get that what you're referring to is a bigger problem than a character who's kind of superfluous.
Well, not to join in this circle jerk, but I think I'm sort of in a position sort of that. Oh God, that's horrible. I think I'm in a sort of position that's kind of in between the two of you. I don't have a problem with them putting.
Yeah,
right, children.
My thoughts exactly. It took a couple of seconds
Detective
to sink
Carey,
in.
I view your action as sexual harassment and find your behavior objectionable.
Well, this is probably the best man witch I've ever been in.
Oh God, yeah, no. I was going to say something about secret sauce, but we won't. I'm kind of, yes, I'm kind of in between the two of you. I think that there's nothing necessarily wrong with putting Jim Slade in there in of itself, but I wonder whether if they'd had a bit more time and maybe a bit of a larger budget and a bit more space in which to work. And again, with all the caveats, I like the game. I wasn't on the development team. I don't know whether this is the case. But if they'd had a bit more time, maybe that wouldn't have seemed like filler, because they could have done something to make that character involved in the storyline. They'd have had time to do more with him. They'd have had options within the game world to sort of bring that story out. And when you're talking about sort of being trapped in, when you were saying about Day 5 kind of being sort of trapped in this thing where you feel like you're just going through it because you have to, again, maybe that world, if that world is made richer and sort of is tied more directly to the plot, I don't have a problem with that. But it's when you feel like this is just a MacGuffin to make sure that this thing ekes out a little bit longer. That's when I have a problem. I kind of wanted to...
Sorry.
No, you go.
Well, I just kind of wanted to say that you guys keep referring to Day 5, whereas when I played it, I thought a bigger problem was the Tesla society complex in Day 8 or something. And what I want
I like that.
What I want to mention is that, well, there's great potential here. Tesla Legacy Society. What if there was a survivor in there? What if you had stuff actually associated with Tesla apart from pictures of him hanging on the walls? You know, what if you
were zombies?
Well, yeah. Well, survivors you can interact with. I mean, what you've basically got is this big derelict generic science fiction sort of area. You know, you've got these generic ruins that you're stuck with for, is it one chapter or is it two? Anyway, I think it's ultimately kind of boring. What makes that area padding for me is that it just doesn't have a lot going for it. At first you think, cool, I'm in this deserted complex dedicated to Nikola Tesla, but it just turns out to be nothing. I mean, there's nothing going on in there.
Okay, I will agree. The Tesla complex goes on for a bit long, but it is in keeping with the other Tex Murphy games, where the last area that you're in is usually devoid of human life, and it's usually just you trying to figure out how to get to the finish line. It does go on for quite a bit, but I mean, look at Pandora Directive. You're traipsing around this Mayan ruin. Under a Killing Moon, you're traipsing around the Moonchild. There's not a soul in sight.
Yeah, but once again, and this is probably kind of a nice segue into what I'm going to talk about. But I'll let Gareth wrap it up if he wants to. But again, this is where I ask: is this a good storytelling device, or is it fan service? You know, are they telling they telling the story in this way because that's what you do in Tex Murphy games? Are they telling the story in this way because it's actually effective? And I would argue it's the former.
Yeah. No, I would agree with that, and I think maybe that area should have been padded out. My only final point was that I wanted to be positive, and I wanted to sort of say, we're not. I didn't want this just to become a rant at a particular game or at a particular company or at a particular device. So I wanted to just bring up Space Quest 3 as quite an ironic example, actually, of a story that is quite tight and seems to kind of it's quite a short game, really, but there doesn't seem to be a huge amount of padding or filler in that game. I mean, partially that is because of budget constraints and time constraints, that they had to get the game done and get it out, so there wasn't time to put so much padding into that game. But I just wanted to sort of bring that up as an example of a game where it's very clear that there's a story to be told. They tell the story and they get the fuck out of there, and that I thought was good.
I actually think a lot of just to wrap it up for my own sake. There's a lot of a lot of long games, like for instance, Day of the Tentacle is quite long. Broken Sword is quite long, but they all seem to have all the set pieces sort of lead very nicely into each other. I mean, one of the longest games I've ever played was the Black Dahlia by Take-Two. I mean, that takes for fucking ever. It's huge, but it doesn't seem like it just throws you someplace, at least not as far as I can remember. It doesn't seem like it throws you into some place just because, oh well, now we have to go and this just set some shit up. However, I will say with Broken Sword, the director's cut, suddenly we are talking padding, because they've somehow felt the need to add on some additional scenes that add nothing to the story. They basically just bookend the story. You have to fuck around with Nico for a bit, and not in the pleasant sense, because nothing about Nico is particularly pleasant. It's just the opening sequence is now in some guy's house that you will never speak of or hear of again, and the ending, I haven't even gotten to the ending because fuck that director's cut nonsense. Why don't we pan the mic over to Frederick, because he certainly hasn't had enough screen time yet, and ask what your topic is.
Well, I just wanted to talk a bit about something I've been bringing up throughout Gareth's rant, which is nostalgia for nostalgia's sake. And actually, you guys may want to listen to the 100th episode of the Nostalgia. Is it round trip or is it road trip? I think it's nostalgia road trip.
Road trip.
Yeah,
they're going to really love hearing that.
Yeah. Sorry, guys. Sorry, Robert and Edgar.
We don't actually listen to your show. We only listen to ourselves.
Yeah, sorry, low budget Simon and Garfunkel. Well, no, we recorded a bit for their 100th episode, which was about nostalgia, and we kind of. I guess we kind of deviated from the norm in that we started ranting about nostalgia for nostalgia's sake in adventure games, and I have a major problem with that. I've been bringing it up whenever it's been natural, and more than often when it hasn't been natural, whenever we've done this show. But in my opinion, it's kind of a shame that so many developers, mostly indie developers, are fixated on recreating the adventure game as it was circa 1991 to 93. Point-and-click interface, VGA graphics, big chunky pixels, sometimes MIDI music, you name it. And it's kind of similar to what would have happened if films had stayed with silent films, just because, well, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And I think talking about Tesla effect and stuff, this is kind of a natural extension of that. And we also got into it a couple of other times on this show. I mean, with the whole Kickstarter fatigue that set in, perhaps after we realized that these old developers who are now returning, thank God, are from a different time, and they're telling stories in a way that may not be what we can do right now. I mean, who says that the apex of interactive storytelling was, hit upon in the 90s? I think there are roads that we can go down where people just seem hell-bent on not going. And I think that's a shame. And leather. Always leather.
Well, I'm glad that, because I want to get in a slightly positive point before I allow you to continue down the negative one and the bitching and the moaning, because I thought it was a really good rant.
He knows his kids.
You brought up it's like the film staying silent for the sake of it, and that's absolutely right. And it is worth noting that there are films in the 60s and 70s that were deliberately black and white as a deliberate artistic choice, and it was a really good thing too. I mean, Some Like It Hot is one of my favourite films ever, and the reason they filmed that in black and white was so that the male leads in that would be believable as women. The Apartment, another Gene Wilder film, is in black and white when it could have been in colour, and that wasn't just because it was more expensive to do it in colour or anything like that. It's because the story was told better in that medium. It added an atmosphere and a certain thing to it that made sense. It wasn't just in black and white for the sake of being in black and white so they could go, oh, well, of course, 1939 was the apex of the movie industry, so everything must be in black and white.
That's very, very true. And Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho is possibly the greatest example I can think of, because that would have never worked in color. And in fact, there was a color remake, which is I've never seen it, and I've vowed not to. But apparently, it's just a shot-for-shot remake that basically takes this film and adds color, basically.
Yeah, and also Vince Vaughn, as far as I remember.
Yeah, and Vince Vaughn masturbating, I think.
Ooh, nobody needs to see that.
Nobody wants to see that.
Not even Jennifer Aniston.
Not even Jimmy Savile.
Stop. But I wholeheartedly see what Gareth is saying, which is that it's not like we would want people to stop making pixel art games. It's not that the aesthetic doesn't have a place at all. Of course it does. People are still taking Polaroid pictures today because they have a certain aesthetic appeal. People are still painting impressionist pictures.
And that has kind of had a renaissance with stuff like Instagram. So there are certainly ways to fit this retro aesthetic into a modern space. Some of the justifiable ways would be like the remakes done by Infamous Quests, then Infamous Adventures, of course, and Himalaya Studios, then respectively Tierra Studios and Anonymous Game Developers Interactive. Because the idea of the remakes done by those guys were to do something that could fit into this whole thinking of what if Sierra had gotten to do VGA remakes of more games way back in the early 90s and kind of fit into that style. So that makes absolute sense to me. But in terms of pixel art, I'd much rather play something like The Last Door, which takes this look and skews it around until you have something that could have existed back then but didn't, rather than something that could conceivably, with a few minor adjustments, have existed in 1991.
I think if I may boldly try to crawl inside your brain and pick out what it is you're saying.
I thought you were going to say you were going to crawl into something else, but my brain is open territory, good sir.
I wish I had a soundboard at this point. But what I think I hear you say is that, of course, pixel art has its place and it's all very good and such, and even throwbacks to nostalgia is good. It's kind of oversaturated at this point.
I do think it is. I do genuinely think it is. It's hit a point where, as far, to me, it looks like people are afraid of experimenting. They're afraid of playing with, but at least play with fucking pixel art. Do something different with it. I've mentioned this, I believe, on the show as well. I've certainly mentioned it off show. But Her Story, what that game did for FMV is absolutely fucking brilliant. Why do pixel art at such a low resolution, for instance? Why not do it at a lower resolution like The Last Door does?
Well, I actually do have a question that I'm going to pose it to both of you, and you just jump in if you've got one. When you're talking about nostalgia, we're not just talking about the aesthetics of nostalgia. We're also talking whenever someone kickstarts a game or writes up their Steam description or whatever, they usually compare their game not to any current adventure game, of which there are now many, but they always go, this is like Monkey Island meets The Last Door or whatever.
It's usually Monkey Island. It's always the mainstream examples.
Yeah, but I mean, I've seen what was the guy who's doing Lancelot's Hangover now, which is it looks really, really funny, and people should of course go and support it, even though the Kickstarter ended a couple of days ago. It looks really funny, but it is being marketed as Monkey Island meets Monty Python, and I don't think you can get much more nostalgic than that.
No, you certainly can't.
Well, I mean, when we were doing that nostalgia thing for the nostalgia road trip, we were talking about sort of the origins of this sort of thing.
Wait. That thing hasn't actually come out yet. When this episode is released, they still haven't published that episode. So this is kind of a teaser, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes, I suppose it's sort of a teaser.
It's really good, and you should listen to it, if only for us.
Yeah. Anyway,
but I mean, the origins of the word are grief for the loss of the fatherland. I mean, it's it's become this sort of warm, fuzzy feeling in the way that we talk about it now. But it's only 50, 60 years ago that it was a medical diagnosis of homesickness. And I think that idea of it being this pathologized kind of thing, it doesn't fit in all circumstances. I love going down memory lane. I love people who play on those sort of memories of childhood or of adolescence, that sort of, younger kind of thing. But I have no time for people who turn around and go, all modern music is shit, all modern games are shit, everything today is shit. Because actually, if you take the time to really look for stuff and for new stuff, you'll find it. There are plenty of people who can be inspired by Monkey Island and do something. I think we're all inspired by something like Monkey Island.
Absolutely.
We've all been inspired by bands and artists and everybody from the 80s, the 90s, the 2000s, even going back further than that. I mean, I don't have a problem with nostalgia in itself. What I have a problem with is when that's used as a crutch to replace any kind of original story or thought or I want... Let's put it this way. I want these kind of nostalgic, in inverted commas, games to be inspired by the 1990s. I don't want them to be a one-to-one replica of the 1990s.
Yeah, and I think what the guys doing over at Thimbleweed Park with Ron Gilbert, I think they completely hit the nail on the head, because that is a very nostalgic game, and it does set out to be nostalgic. But they have gone on record many times saying that they don't want to just copy what they did back in the late 80s or early 90s. They want to replicate the feeling that you had when you played those games, because even to them, playing Maniac Mansion today is kind of shit.
Well, at the same time, it's kind of a cheap trick, isn't it? I mean, why would they get someone like... I mean, Mark Ferrari, whom they got doing the backgrounds, is very, very talented, certainly, but he's known for stuff like Monkey Island and Loom. I would argue that, yes, on paper, what you're saying sounds very, very good, but they know exactly what they're doing, and they knew this Kickstarter would be successful. I don't question for a second
definitely.
they fucking knew that.
Oh, definitely.
There's again, to defend them, there is a difference between using these things and leaning on them for a particular business purpose at one point. I don't really have a problem with that. That's good business and that's good marketing. But if what I want is an end product that has a sort of a good story and something that brings something new and something interesting. And from what I've seen of that game, and obviously I don't know much more than anybody else, it does look like, at the very least, something new is going on there. I mean, it seems, even though it's pixel art, it does seem higher resolution, for example. And it does seem like they're doing some really new things, and it looks fucking gorgeous.
Mm-hmm. And they got particle effects and everything. And I think if I could steer it over on my end, what Gareth was saying about people who consistently go out and are very conservative and say, well, all new music, all new movies, all new games are absolute shit. Things were much better in the good old days.
Old Ken Williams.
Oh, I mean, shit. I mean, our grandparents said that to our parents. Our parents said that to us, and we're going to tell our kids that their music sucks. It's just an ongoing thing.
The weather was always better in our childhood. Of course, now you've got shit like global warming, so for once it may actually be true.
People are going, the second generation after the nuclear apocalypse is going, well, at least we could see the sky. Okay, it was blood red and everyone had extra limbs, but come on.
I remember the sky.
But
I will say on a very serious point that this is how you get Donald Trump, and I'm not exaggerating or making a joke here, that this is how you get Donald Trump, when you have this ridiculous idea of a past that never existed, and you're willing to just go with anything that reminds you of it.
Yeah, make America great again. People, you were never exactly great. I mean, you had segregation, you had the Vietnam War, you had Ronald Reagan.
Stop. Nobody's perfect.
God's sake, just shut up!
Oh, shit. Every country ever has had shit to deal with, and every country has their own conservative blowhards who all think that the 50s were so fucking awesome because they were children back then.
And because they weren't black.
Oh, whatever. Okay. No, what I Skelly.
Except
what
for
I wanted
Ben
to get
Carson, but you know that guy.
What I
that guy's a
wanted
nutcase.
to get at.
Oh, there's a point here. Okay, yeah, carry on, Trolls.
Yeah. Was that there are some things about new adventure games, let's call them new adventure games, that really get on my tits. And these...
Well, there's a mental image.
And this harkens back to a discussion I had with my good and dear chum, Darth Helmet86, on Twitter today. I was actually struggling to come up with something to talk about for today's episode, but boy, oh boy, did he hand me one on a silver platter. He was talking about Telltale games, specifically The Walking Dead and Game of Thrones and Tales of the Borderlands, where when you enter a dialogue with someone, I'm not even going to call it dialogue trees, they're just dialogues. You have two options, maybe 2 or 4 options. There's a timer that runs down, and every so often they throw you a QTE sequence, and the whole thing is just moving at a snap pace all the time. You can't sit still, you can't relax, you can't breathe in the scenery and such, because everything is constantly moving. And to top it all off, these games also have they're choice based. And I've gone on record praising the idea of path branching at adventure game design and such. I fucking love that thing. But when you're constantly being pressured into making a choice, and then once you make it, there's no way of going back. So you can't. I mean, you guys have played path branching games where the path that you chose, you were pretty sure this is going to happen, but the game switches gears on you and something else entirely happens, and you go, well, I'm not satisfied with that choice. Can I have a do-over? And the game just flips you the bird and goes, nah, fuck you. You're staying with this. Either you stay with this, or you can fucking restart the game. See if I care. Whoops, QTE sequence. Here we go. I fucking hate that. I hate the leisurely pace being taken away from me when I play an adventure game. I am not here. If I want to get my heart racing, I'll fucking play Carmageddon or Quake or something of a modern sort that my computer can't possibly run. When I play an adventure game, I want to sit down and relax, have a cup of tea or a Coke, smoke a cigarette, and just chill. And today's, at least Telltale games are very guilty of this, and a lot of other games are as well. Heavy Rain and Fahrenheit and all this David Cage bullshit.
The new King's Quest.
The new King's Quest, probably also. I haven't actually played it. Is guilty of having this constant attention deficit disorder where they're just push. That annoys the piss out of me. Comments? Suggestions?
I partially agree, but one thing that I've often thought in adventure games is that it's kind of unrealistic, though, when you do a dialogue with an NPC and you can wait forever, and the person doesn't react to you waiting forever. You're basically just imagining yourself as the player character standing there, keeping eye contact with this NPC you're talking to. And I do kind of wish that maybe this is not the right way to go about that, setting a timer on it before you hit awkward city where you haven't responded yet. But maybe you could have the NPC reacting to you taking your sweet time and commenting on that instead. I get the fact that adventure games are not supposed to be realism simulators, but you do have to admit that it kind of takes you out of the story to be put in a situation that is so unlike something that could actually happen, unless that's the point of the game.
Sure, there's a suspension of disbelief, but the same. Some people would view the idea of playing an adventure game as stepping into someone's shoes and role playing, and if something doesn't happen, then of course the game world should react to it. But I view it more as, again, the whole from campfire tales to books to movies to adventure games. I mean, it is like if the game doesn't allow me to put the book down, brew myself a cup, and come back to it, or it doesn't allow me to skip back a page because I missed something, or I want to reread it or something. That to me is a flaw, and it's not an evolution of storytelling. It's just putting up, it is like the game fucking flipping me off, to me anyway.
Yeah, I can. Well, I mean, when you were having this conversation and I was listening in like some kind of creepy uncle,
Which
I
is
was,
interesting because it was on Twitter and in text form. So, Gareth, I'd suggest you make your way to the nearest mental hospital because you're not well.
Well, I think what people need to know about me is that I'm partially sighted and I use a screen reader.
Oh.
Don't you feel bad now?
Yeah, I feel pretty awful.
You shouldn't. That was a lie.
I knew that. Anyway, you were saying?
I'm still an awful person.
Well,
Yeah.
that's true.
No question.
Because the problem with knowing you, Trolls, and then listening to your eloquent description and justification of your opinion, it means that I can't rant at you in the way that I wanted to. So I'm I'm a bit annoyed about that. But I think this whole kind of conversation could probably be turned into an episode title later on in the year. But you said this thing of you didn't want to be in a position where you think that your choice does one thing and then something else happens. My initial response to that was, well, that's good. You want unintended consequences sometimes because that makes it interesting and gives you a sort of a change of pace and allows you to do something different. And, okay, it throws up something different. Oh, so now I've got a new problem to deal with. But then you qualified it.
Sorry.
No, go for it.
Well, I just want to say that I find it kind of interesting that Trolls would say this, and at the same time you love Tex Murphy. Because one of the things that Tex Murphy does great is that you don't get the ad verbatim dialogue response to choose from. You get a summarization of what Tex is going to say, but then sometimes the game throws a curveball at you, and, well, maybe he does say what is hinted at, but it has unintended consequences because Chelsea or whomever might not be up for it.
Okay, I know exactly what you're saying, and I know what I want to say to that, but I want to hear what Gareth has to say.
But then you qualified it with the second bit, which was, I want the ability, once I've realised that that's happened and gone, oh, I see, that's where this is going, to be able to go back and take a mulligan, have a do-over. And taking away that ability, that was the moment that I agreed with you. Because, I play, and then you talked about other game genres, and I thought, yeah, actually, one of the things I really like about simulation games or strategy games is that you might make a choice that you think is a good one in terms of planning for the future, and then the exact opposite happens, and you end up having to scramble around trying to undo your mistake. But that's part of that genre, that's part of that game, and you're given the tools to try and make up for what you've done. Whereas what you're saying is actually in an adventure game, you need to, in order to tell a good story, you kind of need to know, even if you only know through making that mistake and having to have a do-over, what the consequences are of your behaviour, to have some control over the narrative and over the storyline. And when you said that, unfortunately, I agreed with you.
Well, I'm very, very sorry to have put you in that position, but the fundamental thing that I kept coming back to in that conversation...
This is like brain gonorrhea.
but yeah, it was exactly control. I feel that modern adventure games are wresting control away from me. Now, I don't want to be like in perfect control of every situation, but I do want the ability to sort of bookmark where I came from and then go back and try something else. If nothing else, because this answers what Fred was saying. In Tex Murphy and Pandora Directive, you get to save during a conversation, and you can keep a bookmark there and go back later on and check, okay, what would have happened if I did this instead? That gives me control over the story. The thing I said on Twitter was that I like to be able to shape the story rather than just follow the story. And then Darth Helmet chipped in and said, well, you did shape the story because you made a choice and now you have to live with it. And I went, no, fuck you. You Australian git, fuck you. Because I'm not shaping the story if you're not giving me control to shape it. I am just following I'm just following a route. Granted, that route branches into different paths, but you're not giving me the opportunity to go back and shape it the way that I want it to be told.
Yeah, I do agree that guess what the designer is thinking games will never have you have that kind of bearing on the story. That and certainly what you're describing kind of fits into that whole guess what the designer is thinking school of design, and that will always lead to you just following a story.
And I thought the real that was one of the bits that I agreed with you, even in 140 character form, was when you were talking about the difference between shaping a story and following a narrative. And it's not shaping it if you're just choosing an alternative narrative. That shaping it almost should be a more organic process. I mean, my initial thought from that was I shouldn't be able to pinpoint the one thing that I did that completely changed this narrative. I mean, that's one of the strengths of Tex Murphy, is that it's a sort of a cumulative thing of a number of different choices that lead you down a particular path. It's not just here is the very obvious scene in which I get to choose a branch. It shouldn't really be that way. It should be far more organic than that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and a lot of Telltale games do that. They pop up this message going, so-and-so will believe that. Or another game that I'm playing currently, which is really good, don't get me wrong, but it basically flashes this message on screen before the branching path comes up and says, you are about to make a crucial choice. I'm like, okay, thank you.
I wish my life did that, though.
Yeah, that would be stellar. I mean, every time I have a vacation, I always want to save my game and go back and try something else at the end of the vacation.
You're about to make a huge mistake. She's not gonna like that. Go buy a drink for yourself instead.
Something
Detective
like that.
Carey, I view your action as sexual harassment.
And wouldn't you know
wouldn't
you know that was exactly after those words I wanted to reload the game.
I was hoping that sample would come up. No, and from that also, a number of these choice-making games, for instance, Life is Strange and a number of the Telltale games, they have this thing at the end where they show you like a scoreboard where it says so-and-so many had made this choice along the way, and it basically flashes up percentage. Some people let this character live and this number of people did not, and that takes away the mystery of plot branching. It basically just becomes a cock waving contest.
It turns it into a social experiment, which is absolutely pointless.
Yeah,
that's like bragging about how fast you read a book. That may how fast you read it may not necessarily be to the detriment or to the advantage of the book.
I have a slightly different view on that. I mean, I kind of think that to me, I like the idea of having those kind of statistics and being able to delve into sort of get that meta kind of story about different people and that kind of social experiment. To me, the issue from what I can hear of this is not necessarily that it's a bad idea. It's that it's not been fully executed properly.
Yeah, I think you're right. It's. I mean, I also like, whenever I show someone a Pandora Directive and we go through, okay, did you do this and this and this, and you just go, oh, I didn't even know that was a possibility. And Gareth, what you were saying about being able to shape the story in that it's an accumulative process. It's not just one very, very obvious telegraphed branching path. Now either this person dies or this person dies, and you just go, okay, cool. The idea that it's an accumulative thing, I like that because it gives you the opportunity to have a good discussion at the end game with other players and go, okay, my story shaped out completely differently than yours. Also, it eliminates, having that scoreboard at the end kind of eliminates the mystery of the plot branching. I mean, how many paths can you walk down? Okay, turns out 17. Great, cool.
Yeah. No, I think that's clearly one of the issues. I mean, I suppose one of the things that I definitely wanted from this discussion. I know you're the host, Troll, so I'm sort of jumping on your toes here.
We should probably wrap up. You're absolutely right.
But we've kind of identified three things: the don't bloat it, don't rely solely on nostalgia, and for the love of God, don't take away my control and force me to do stuff just for the sake of it.
Yeah, and this is something modern games just do. I mean, you've brought up the Telltale games. I could bring up Mass Effect as an example, and I've brought up this game before, but you have a Paragon and a Renegade option at times. And it's kind of telegraphed to you via those that, okay, what you're about to do is either going to be very heroic or it's going to be kind of rebellious. And, I love Mass Effect for those choices, but I do think it's a shame that it's not more of an organic process. I think it's a shame that it's spelled out to me what I'm about to do.
Well, I suppose what I was trying to get at more was, can we think of examples of people that have done it well, so we can hold these up as people that should be not emulated, but at least should be an inspiration, so we can have some kind of positive, this is what you should do.
Yes, I'm so glad you said that. Yes, let's absolutely do that. Richard Cobbett, who decided to join the conversation because apparently sometime I said something moderately clever, and now he's sort of latched onto that. He brought up Life is Strange, which does it makes you stick with choices that you make, but it doesn't hold you back. Because in Life is Strange, you can rewind time. That's the whole gimmick of the game. You can rewind time, and you can go back and try something different if what you chose isn't really the outcome that you wanted. But once you leave the screen, or once a certain amount of time passes, then you can't rewind further than that. I thought that's a brilliant mechanic, because that gives me control back over how the story is being shaped. But it doesn't, it's not like a complete freeform where I can just skip back to page 22 and then start from that chapter.
If I could turn back time. If I could find a way.
Thank you.
Sorry.
And lastly, I have to bring up Undertale again, because if you're going to do choices in adventure games, then if you want actual consequences to follow the choices that you make, all you have to do is look at Undertale, where because basically with every plot branching game, you could basically just, even if it doesn't allow you to save your game as you go along, at least you could just start from the beginning and then, do the whole thing again. With Undertale, it actually remembers what you did in past playthroughs. So the entire gaming experience, from when you install the game until you completely uninstall it, is shaping the narrative, regardless of how many times you play through it. Thank you.
I think the Pandora Directive did it well, namely with the mechanic that I mentioned earlier, which is that you never really know exactly what Tex is going to say. And what he does say may have unintended consequences. And I guess that the path where you're completely an evil shithead, the boulevard of broken dreams, is kind of telegraphed to you. But the best of them... I can't remember what it's called, Mission Street or something.
Exactly.
It's not as obvious, and I kind of like that. You have to think a little bit about what would be the right choice to make, and even when you come up with the solution for that, it's not as obvious. And of course, that kind of makes it difficult to reach that ending. So it's also kind of limiting in that sense, but. At least it's a novel way of doing it compared to most branching games.
And that also harkens back to, in Pandora Directive, your choices affect the other character's opinion of you and not necessarily the plot itself. Many Telltale games do this thing where, and now you have a choice to make of where the story is supposed to go. Okay, cool, but the characters don't actually care, not as far as I know. All right, Gareth, last word in Edgewise.
No, I was just going to say that on a couple of the Tex Murphy games where I've completed them and enjoyed them, I've kind of gone to the walkthrough to see what choices I should have made in order to get a different ending. And the choices that you have to make are not necessarily particularly obvious. And I loved the fact that even if I'd been playing through and trying to get a particular ending, not entirely sure I could have done. And from the sounds of things, it seems like Telltale sort of take a... baseball bat wrapped in barbed wire, thank you, Mick Foley, and just sort of slam you around the face with it and say, this is what is going on! And
because God forbid that you're disappointed. I mean, people are complaining about free games on Steam at times. So, God forbid we disappoint people. Why challenge them? How dare we? We are fucking assholes.
Scully. Well, I think that was a good discussion. I think we probably have some stuff for the After Dark, which you are very much welcome to tune into. But we should probably be.
If your connection will last us that long.
Yeah, we'll see. I do apologize for my audio quality. My two co-hosts have kindly informed me that my audio quality is absolute shit at times, and I break up and stuff. And I really wish there was something I could do about it. Sadly, there.
Well, you could stop talking.
There's that option, but did you really think I would go for that? I mean, come on, you know me. So I'm just gonna wrap up the episode here, and then we can shoot the shit some more in the After Dark. thank you for listening, everyone. We are, of course, the Backseat Designers, which you would know if you went to our webpage, backseatdesigners.com, where you can subscribe to the show. You can check out our spin-off show, Open Crowdsource, where we have guests on to try and design an adventure game in 30 minutes. We also are on Twitter at BS Designers, and we have a Patreon account /Fred's. Well, it used to be his Coke fund, but now it's buying flowers and pretty chocolates for his girlfriend fund.
Nah, it's gone on to be a heroin fund.
Oh, cool.
Oh, God, that is so 90s. You are so 90s retro.
All the drugs, all the modern drugs.
But not
suck.
for retro's sake, I'm using heroin for some very special newfangled things indeed. Nah, actually, it's probably more in line with the girlfriend thing. Well, actually, I've been buying pizza with it.
So anyway, do check us out on the web if you would be so inclined. And also, we would very much love to hear from you. We, encourage you to send us messages on Twitter or via email. Please annoy Fred at backseatdesigners.com. Is it Fred or Fred?
You can also send your voicemails now to voicemail@backseatdesigners.com. They all go to Fred at backseatdesigners.com.
Well, that's
that
very,
email address
very,
now works.
That's very, very useful.
Yeah. So on that note, please say goodbye for now, Fred.
Goodbye.
And please say goodbye, Gareth. And we will see you. Actually, we will not see you, but you will listen to us. You will listen to us next week. So, ciao, everyone.
Look, prophecies aren't in my job description, okay? I'm just a humble PI trying to save the world as we know it.
Boom!
No more for today.
I am all alone, touching myself while thinking of you. Yow.
Hello. Last week, we ran a competition. Congratulations to all of you. It was a tie. This is because nobody entered. Our question was, what is the meaning of the word Genidningsmodstand? Genidningsmodstand. The answer? Friction. To learn more Danish phrases, please visit backseatdesigners.com. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.